how much of what you think the American people's concerns about where the economy is at matches what's actually going to happen next year?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen in 2023. There's an old saying in Hollywood. In fact, an author, the man who was the scriptwriter for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, he wrote a book, and the title was "Nobody Here Knows Anything," which means you never know when a movie is going to be successful or not. Well, the same is true in the economy. Nobody really knows. You can have experts here and there, but nobody really knows. It's a guessing game. We can't determine when the war in Ukraine is going to be over. Who knows when that's going to be over? That'll change the economy. Is China going to invade Taiwan? That'll affect the economy. We just don't know. Are the Republicans going to go try to impeach Joe Biden? We don't know. That could have an impact on the economy. It delays the Congress from passing other things. Who knows? So I would say right now, the conventional wisdom, and the conventional wisdom is often generally wrong in Washington, but the conventional wisdom in Washington is that we'll probably have a recession in 2023, mild recession. Unemployment will go up somewhat. Congress won't pass that many bills to do anything that's going to spend a lot more money, because we've already spent all the money we pretty much can afford to spend. And I would say I think the American people, when they read as much as they read about the economy going to recession, eventually they kind of reflect that in the public opinion polls. And that's why people are saying they're worried about the economy. But people are always worried about the economy. There's never a time when people are not worried about the economy. So I don't know that it'll be as bad as we had in 2007, 2008, 2009, but it could go down. But remember, economies always come back. Recessions always end and the world comes back. And the U.S. economy comes back very, very strong. We still have an incredibly strong economy now compared to Europe and compared to China. Our economy is growing much better than China and Europe is. So I'm not pessimistic about the U.S. economy. And when it goes down, it will rebound, in my view. So I'm not that worried about the economy. There are bigger things to worry about.
Tom, you had a question, Matt. Both of you guys had a question.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yep. So in 2008, you certainly it was far, far worse than what we've seen here, and we probably haven't even seen the worst of whatever this recession. Nobody can get there, because things historically that were constants become variables, and then variables become constants, and everybody's algebra falls over. You had said in 2008, you talked about, hey, when all this debt is with the banks, in other words, it all becomes organized. All the TARP and everything becomes finance. We're going to enter into a platinum age for private equity. It turned out to be very, very quick. Although things are not that way now, what do you see happening after we get through, call it a blip, call it a mini recession, whatever we think? What is your crystal ball?
For what?
Where we're going to go? You talked about
for private equity or for the economy generally.
Well, you were correct about private equity, and you were in that business and you selected it. But is there anything out there that you're looking at right now that you say, you know what, this is what I see, and I'm feeling?
Well, I think the economy, if it goes into recession, will have a rebound. And when we come out, I think the economy will continue to grow at a reasonable pace. Remember, we have a $22 trillion GDP. So the economy is big. It's hard to grow that at 10% a year. Hard to grow that at even 7% a year. We briefly have grown it at 6% a year, coming back out of 6% a quarter, coming out of some parts of COVID. But right now, I think given the economy's size, you're growing 2 or 3% a year. That's pretty good, and I think we can continue to do that. But that happens when people feel like they have an incentive to go to work, they have an incentive to invest. The government doesn't do some things that I think backfire on them. Right now, the biggest problem the country has, in my view, aside from the racial problems we have and the legacy of slavery and all the other kinds of problems that exist between certain sectors of the economy, people who are born into poverty and never going to escape. The biggest problem we have is the dysfunction of the government. Right now, the Democrats and Republicans just cannot agree on almost anything. Maybe they'll agree on a spending bill here or there, but generally it's dysfunctional. When I worked on Capitol Hill briefly in the late 70s, a bipartisan bill was considered to be a good thing. If you were a good legislator, you actually knew how to get Democrats and Republicans to come together. If now you're on one party or you're the other party, you're not supposed to really talk to people from the other party or work with them, and I think that's unfortunate. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest problems this country has. It's so acrimonious in Washington, D.C. now that you don't get people even socializing anymore with people from the opposite party. I wish that would change.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan bought one, then he bought three. Then when those three people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the future looks bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying future looks bright. To order your future looks bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.